Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So, we're going to do another trait video here, and this time we're going to cover two traits. So the first one is Retreat Tactics, and the second one is Invincible. Both of these are like, I don't know, I feel like they're probably among top 10 on my list. Maybe one of these days I'll do a ranking of which ones I like the most, but the main thing that I like about these traits, right, outside of the mechanics, is that they're just thematically they're home runs, right? For the people who hold the traits, retreat tactics is Toyohisa's, where the Shimazu over here. Toyohisa's trait over here, which prevents you from running away and maxes out stamina for a little while, usually resulting in the officer just being taken out. Just like basically, retreat tactics is basically last stand, but on the battle map, right? Usually that officer is just going to be destroyed before he runs away because that's when it triggers, when you would run. Although, I feel like there's a chance that you could retreat tactics and just break the other guy, right? That would, if I could get that to happen, that would be amazing. Anyway, the other trait, Invincible, which the trait holder for that is Mr. Naotaka over here. If I can find him, let's see if I can find him. Naotaka the Berserker. The best part of the Asakura. So Invincible is basically a more difficult first blood trigger. So first blood gives you plus 15 attack in this game. Invincible gives you plus 15 attack. But one of your allied units has to commence retreat. So I don't know if it's a translation thing, but Invincible doesn't really capture that. But I think the idea is, again, like Berserk. Or maybe a Vanguard. You could call it Vanguard, or you could call it Berserk, really. The idea being that your guy rallies to hold the line so that his units can, to fight a little bit harder because units are getting routed. So that could mean holding the line so the rest of the army can run away, or just getting enraged because allies are being cut down around you. I guess it kind of depends. Both of these traits kind of have the same flavor, the same idea to them. It's just executed differently, right? So the first officer, let's start with retreat tactics. The first officer, Yoshinari Mori, retreat tactics. So he's one of the additional people I gave this to. Yoshinari has the main, there was a lot of forces, but he was kind of the main commander that was taken out during the attack by the Azai Asakura forces. So when Nobunaga gets the bag of Azuki beans and he starts to withdraw, Yoshinari goes down swinging, holding off the vanguard, so that Nobunaga can safely withdraw his forces. So I don't know, does it mention in here, does it? I don't think there's an event for that battle. I know the Azuki Beans is kind of mentioned, but we don't really get a fleshed out event for Nobunaga marching north and then, trying to withdraw his forces. But yeah, he has, that's kind of his biggest moment, outside of just being like a strong general. Him pretty much holding the line until the very end so that Nobunaga can safely get back to his territory. When Nagamasa decides to help out the Asakura, it's kind of his moment. So retreat tactics fits pretty well for him. Not to mention, like I was just talking about right now, he does have a chance of being one of those guys who could trigger retreat tactics and maybe hold out. I actually don't know if your tactic would trigger, but why not, right? Why wouldn't it? So off the top of my head, this could be a guy who could trigger retreat tactics. He's about to be wiped out. He triggers rapid assault, and he just manages to scatter the enemy before finally, ending the battle. I don't know. It's an insane sequence, but the idea, to me, the possibilities are what make some of this stuff interesting. All right, the second person with retreat tactics, this is kind of ironic, but Nobuchika Chosokabe. Nobuchika Chosokabe. Motochika's kid who passed away during Hideyoshi's conquest of Kyushu. So the Battle of Hetsugigawa, right? Gonbei's blunder Nobuchika gets stuck. Gonbei screws it up royally after Motochika objects to their battle plan. Gonbei says, screw it, we're doing it anyway. They charge in. It's a complete disaster. And guess who gets stuck holding the bag? Nobuchika gets stuck holding the bag, right? So he takes the fall, refuses to run, stays in there, gets entangled, gets cut down. Retreat tactics. On the same island as the Kyushu holder, which is kind of cool. As the guys that they're invading. So now you have one person in Kyushu, one person in Shikoku, and their paths could link up if you're playing on that side. That's one of the things about adding these traits that I think about a lot. I'm like, I don't want to have too many because I don't want them all over the place. But you want enough so that maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance that they could overlap a little bit, right? You could have two people on the map with the same trait. Anyway, moving on to Invincible. So, Invincible, like I said, plus 15 attack. It's basically a worse First Blood. First Blood only requires you to literally draw First Blood. You be the first unit that engages, and the game's like, alright, great job, plus 15 attack. This is like, one of your guys has to dive, which is way more work for the same bonus, you know? So the first person, Invincible, Hideye Ukita, the guy who went kind of berserk. One of the guys. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people went berserk. But he's got that footnote of being a guy who just went kind of crazy during Sekigahara. And I don't remember if it was actually because of the betrayal. The betrayal from, what's his name? I always forget this guy's name over here. Kobayakawa. Where's his where's Junior? Is he in charge of a castle on this? Hideaki, the guy, Hideaki's betrayal. So I don't know if Hideye goes berserk because of that. But he does kind of pop off after that, after the betrayal, which is really cool. I feel like Hideye could have a lot of stuff, honestly. He could have like something that's like more support, like faithful adjutant. He's just got a lot of things. When you think of like loyal, stalwart vassal, that's what Hideye is. But I went with Invincible. It's just, to me, that's the highlight that sticks out to me. It's just this guy going really hard in the paint because he's really pissed off that this guy would betray and then withdraw, you know? I guess it kind of depends on which game, which site you're using. Because I've also heard it said that Hideye just kind of ran away, which is kind of like, no, we're not doing anything, we're out of here. So, anyway, last person, Invincible, Kagemochi, Amakazu. Both of these guys, I had edited this a long time ago, but I did lose the... when you make the change from PS4 to PS5, you lose your traits. The game resets all your change stuff. So it resets. Anyway, Kagemochi Amakazu, one of Kenshin's guys. I want to say one of his big four. But I feel like Kenshin's got more of a big eight. You know? They all kind of sort of blend in with each other. I know I've said this a lot, but the Uesugi kind of need a rework. Kagemochi is, during the fourth battle of Kawanakajima, he's one of the guys who holds the retreat. He holds the line. When the army starts to break and withdraw, he's one of the guys who stays behind and just keeps fighting. Now, again, I gave him Invincible because to me the distinct difference between Invincible and retreat tactics is, retreat tactics, you go down, you die fighting. Invincible, you do not. And Invincible can also have a shade of, hey, maybe we didn't lose the battle, but I'm enraged because my allies are getting cut down around me. Whereas retreat tactics, it's already like, okay, we're already losing, I'm just going to hold the line until I go down. But like I said, they kind of have shades of each other. You know, thematically, they have shades of each other. But yeah, Kagemochi, plus 15 attack when an army runs away. This could be really useful with Kenshin because Kenshin's got a weird force. He's got some guys who just, I don't know, their loyalties are kind of scattered sometimes. Can we check on this map? Just want to check and see. Because I feel like, yeah, a lot of his guys are just kind of only one officer, for example, that's at 20. Now, this is the fictional map. I don't think that affects anything really, but this is the fictional map. But yeah, a lot, for all the officers that Kenshin's got, he is one of those forces that struggles. Of course, Takahiro. He is one of those forces that really struggles with officer loyalty. It feels like it's like a loose confederation. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what Echigo is. I don't know. But I always feel like the Uesugi, more than anyone else, have a hard time keeping units on the field, no matter what. Their guys are always right on that line where they will break early. So, in relation to Kagemochi's Invincible trigger, that's, you can guarantee that you're actually make use of that if you make him a Castle Lord. Again, he's got about 8 guys who are they kind of blend in with each other. So, whenever I do an Uesugi rework, for me, that's going to be the thing, is to try to give these guys, make them a little bit more distinct without radically changing them, you know, but just make them a little bit more unique. Anyway, so, yeah, that's going to be it. So, two retreat tactics, 2 invincible. I love both of these tactics. I really like Invincible. Again, I'm a fan of decent to just mid effects that you have to do a little work for. I don't like having effects just work. You know, I like having like effects like this where it's just like, hey, you got to jump through some hoops. And I also like the effects like this where like it's like you've lost the battle or things are going bad, but you can at least staunch the bleeding. You know, you can at least try to stop it, stop the bleeding a little bit if you can. So I love retreat tactics in this game. I love every time that we do a community series on this channel every Saturday, and I love when somebody sends retreat tactics. I'm always like, I have to try to use this at least once. You know, if I get into a situation where it's like we're done, I always think about this one. I always think about both of these. You know, these are 2 of my favorite ones. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to have more of Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening. Like I said, our community series on Saturday. And I'm going to have some other stuff on the channel. I'd like to get to Total War, Shogun, other stuff. So, anyway, until then, guys, take care.